existence of extraterrestrials.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. Apparently, I've got some audio. There we go. I'm Thomas Fessler, and this is Disclosure Tonight. I did it again. Yes, happy Saturday, everybody. It's Saturday, July 26th, as we come towards the end of July. Wow, we got a lot of disclosure, a lot of things going on. Things are happening in good ways and maybe some not so good ways. On that note, let me go ahead and welcome in our audience as I turn this audio down because I've been cranked up from last night after the show. Who the heck do we have out in the audience? Let's take a look and see. We have Andy W's here along with Brian Hoare. We've got Katz here along with Daryl and Destiny Rocks. I see Digger Dog. Good to see you, my friend. Eliza Teals here along with Eric B. We've got Frazzle Says in the chat along with Fire Guy. Geraldine Durazio's here along with Gundam Drifter and Idaho Strong. We've got JB, JCat, Joe Monk, Joey Stoner, John Loop, J. Paul, Caitlin, King Bull, and Kelly Brote in those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you as well, Kathy. We've got the Liberty Astros here. Liliana Tuna, Mac After Death is in the chat. Join the chat. It's a great place to socialize during the broadcast. We've got Mr. Joey B, Necessary Dialogue. Mac After Death is here. If I didn't say I said you a second time. PC Anderson's around along with Rodney Cox, Peter Tremulous, Sam's here, and Shinobi One Kenobi. We've got Stephen Hines in the chat along with the Chromosome Cowboy. Todd T's here and Tommy Covello. Good to see you, Tommy. Two Head 666 and Vern Dude's here. How about that? Everyone is present and accounted for. On that note, let's go ahead and jump into the studio. Mike, Disclosure, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. This is our international show for our audience abroad. And this Saturday, I think we have some interesting things to discuss with the audience today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we do. And just to kind of get to the whole title card that we brought up for today's show was, Lue Elizondo. Is he okay? Why are we saying this? Why are we bringing it up? Well, besides people who really appreciate Lue and honor him for the work that he's done for Disclosure and his country in the past, compared to how in his interview that he was on with Chris Cuomo last night, compared to him appearing about 2 months ago, let me bring this up here, Mike. There has been a noticeable change in Lue's appearance, and it's concerning to a lot of people, and we care about Lue and everything to that degree, and we want to make sure he's okay, but, when you see something like this go on, you just can't turn your head the other way and not talk about it. We're not going to get into it too deep, Mike, but it's concerning, to say the least.
It is, especially anyone that is familiar with Lue, his normal physical appearance, his demeanor overall, like you and I are. When you see such a dramatic change in his physical appearance that quickly, it's hard not to be concerning. Even Chris Cuomo made a comment to Lue on the interview last night.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alice, your hand is up?
Yeah, it looks like he is under very much stress, too, either from illness or something else, but his eyes are looking
there's a whole bunch of different signs in his face, Alice, and it's all concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, it looks like whatever's going on with Lue, it doesn't look good. It looks pretty serious from what we can tell from his public appearances. And, obviously, needless to say, we're concerned why we're mentioning it. Because if Lue is, in fact, dealing with something serious, our thoughts and prayers we go out to him and his family. And the public should know and be aware.
Yeah.
There may be issues.
Yeah.
Right, Thomas?
Absolutely, my friend. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. And it's just thoughts and prayers out to, like you said, Lue and his family and everything. Hopefully he's okay. But, rather than just talking about Lue was actually on Chris Cuomo last night talking about dangerous drones coming out over the border from Mexico. And this is, this is something that kind of Lue has been trying to cover. If you remember, Mike, Lue was pitching to be the UAP czar, or the UAP czar for the United States government, when President Trump was still before he assumed office. While that hasn't happened, Lue has been making comments and informing the public about the dangers of drones and different things. And this is a pretty interesting video. Should we jump into it?
Yes, please do.
All right, let's get to the full video so our audience can appreciate this and get this here and make it a little bit larger. All right, I'll fix this in a second. All right, here we go, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'll pull it back to the beginning. And boom.
Do you know that the cartels are sending all these drones all around the border, farther and farther into the country? That's what the Department of Homeland Security says, that they're like tens of thousands of Mexican drug cartel drones. Why? I got a guy who can answer, all right? Former director of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, friend of show all day long, Lue Elizondo. Lue, I just want to give you a few minutes. You explain to the audience, what is this about and what do they need to think about and what has to happen?
Sure. Chris, thanks for having me. First of all, I think it's important to note that this is a normal escalation. We've seen for the last 20 years, if you remember when the cartels were deep in the Amazon jungle and they were building these semi-submersible submarines, literally submarines, to try to penetrate U.S. territorial waters and deliver whatever was heroin and cocaine and whatnot. So we should not be surprised at all with the proliferation of drone technology that the cartels now in Mexico are using this technology to their advantage. And by the way, it's not just for the delivery of drugs such as heroin or methamphetamines, but it's also to conduct surveillance and reconnaissance of our border areas to determine our soft spot, to determine our weaknesses, to determine where our guards are, for example, and our Border Patrol agents, and then try to, if you will, circumvent some of that security to continue to provide drugs in this country illicitly. I think there's a bright side to this topic, that you have a new individual. She is the nominee right now to be the new U.S. czar, drug czar here in the United States. Her name is Sarah Carter. In fact, I think a former colleague of yours. She cut her teeth some time ago in Afghanistan, looking at the opium production, and then later in South America, and now on the border here in Mexico. But the cartel is very, very clever. And I think we saw what we're seeing, of course, in Ukraine with the weaponization of these drones. Thankfully, we have not seen that yet. I think the cartel is probably more interested in conducting illegal business than they are trying to hurt U.S. citizens with lethal drones. But it's really not a far stretch. This administration really needs to pay attention right now to the drone threat, and especially along the southern border right now with Mexico.
Well, Lue, thank you for putting up the alert and giving us the context, and we'll stay on this story as we are the overall macro story of transparency on this issue. We know the government knows more than it's telling us, and it's only a matter of time. Don't lose too much weight, Lue. You're looking good. Don't get too thin, because that's when I attack.
Hitting the gym like you.
You look great. You're way ahead of me. Take care, Lue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Here we go back into this. Yeah, Chris, like you said, Chris Cuomo brings up about Lue losing weight. Lue saying he's hitting the gym, but generally you wouldn't see that much of a striking difference in just a little over 2 months.
Yeah, and I also have been following Chris Cuomo for a long time, and I can tell you that he has a rule. He doesn't usually comment on anyone's physical stature unless, and he knows Lue and he likes Lue. I know that personally.
Yeah.
For him to make a comment like that publicly, it's because he's concerned.
Yeah.
So that is what got my attention when we watched this broadcast last night. It means that, there's something concerning that's going on.
In a short amount of time, in 2 months. Generally, even if people are on a cut from something else, you're not going to lose muscle mass. You're not going to look. There's just a whole bunch of signs that Well, let's just hope and keep positive that it's just hitting the gym and not something more.
Yeah, hitting the gym doesn't have the effect that we're witnessing, and that Chris Cuomo noticed. So, yeah, something's going on, and we wish him all the best, him and his wife, Jennifer, and hopefully things will turn around with him at one point.
Yeah.
Our fingers will be crossed.
Yeah.
But we had to comment on it.
Yeah, our hearts and prayers go out to Lue and his family and everything, and hopefully everything is okay on that particular point. So let's jump back into the studio and say, yeah, interesting show last night, talking about Beatrice Villaro's, if you want to call it, discovery in the plates coming, the astronomical survey plates coming from Mount Palomar Observatory, where they found, over 100,000 transient objects around the Earth?
107,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That she was able to detect. That blink in and blink out, as she put in that paper, which is something that she correlated to known UAP instances here on Earth, that they line up with the dates and times of the observed activity on the plates of these objects that are near the Earth, out in space, which is something that we haven't heard publicly before.
Right.
Not like this. So I think that it's an interesting discovery. Plus, we've been covering on the show that her colleague, Dennis Asberg, had made a public announcement a week ago that there was something major coming, of a huge discovery that he and her have been working on, that is going to be coming out shortly, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
According to the announcement he made yesterday, it's going to be in about a week. So we're going to finally, the public is going to be able to access what the true nature of this discovery is and how it may impact everybody here on Earth, which is interesting to say the least. But it means that even though we haven't really gotten disclosure coming out of this or the government or any coming forward, and it's been slow going, and it's been a slow year, and looks like it's slow summer. When she brings this out, I have a feeling it's going to change the conversation on this topic moving forward.
Well, let's hope so, my friend, because you know what, we've been looking for the definitive truth, and we've got some we can bring forward. She'd be a perfect person to bring forward as a witness for the upcoming congressional hearings.
Right, because if her evidence, and she called it smoking gun evidence, she could definitely bring that, get it on the congressional record, and speak about it, which would, I think, really impact the disclosure movement as a whole.
Right.
Because a lot of people have testified about this in Congress, but she would be the only one at that point moving forward with actual evidence to bring in, which we haven't seen yet.
Absolutely.
So I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Before I move on, Alice, you had your hand up, my friend?
Yeah, Thomas and Mike, was there special technology used to be able to see these things? And are they identical or all different?
Well, the technology that was being used, that was talked about last night, was a method that goes back to the late 1800s, where they're taking astronomical plates on glass, astronomical surveys, and taking pictures on glass like you used to long time ago in the early 1900s with the flash photography and everything. You've seen those pictures before. So this is just a long, tried and true method of ways to go ahead and actually, if you want to call it, view the difference in stars and everything that have happened over time.
Any of you want to talk on the show, I'll be glad to put you on. Okay, Thomas, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you much. I appreciate that. Now, Mike, getting into our next story here, let me go ahead and bring this up. Yes, Avi Loeb is back, Mike, once again taking the headlines. Let's get into it. Harvard professor warns of potential alien attack as early as November 2025. What? Well, we're talking 4 months away, Mike. And I think he's talking about that Atlas, 3I Atlas, interstellar object that's coming into our solar system. Now, on Friday, July 25th, just yesterday, and where'd it go? Sorry, I was trying to move something here so I could see it and read it. Let me get this up here, coming to us from Medium. On Friday, July 25th, 2025, an extraordinary claim from Harvard University has captured global attention. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb, a prominent figure known for his provocative theories, has suggested that an interstellar object, 3I Atlas, may be a hostile alien spacecraft on a collision course with Earth, potentially arriving as early as November 2025. This bold hypothesis, outlined in a peer-reviewed paper that just came out, builds on Loeb's long-standing interest in extraterrestrial life and comes amid heightened public fascination with unidentified aerial phenomena. This article, so the claim, 3I Atlas is a hostile alien craft. Now, his latest theory finds the interstellar object first detected on July 1st. Hey, my birthday, 2025, at a distance of 4.5 AU, which is 4.5 times the Earth to Sun separation. In a paper posted on his website, the ARXIV preprint server, Loeb argues that the object's unusual trajectory and brightness suggest it may be maneuvering deliberately, a behavior inconsistent with natural asteroids or comets. The Irish Star reported on July 20th, 2025, that Loeb posits that this could mark humanity's first encounter with a hostile extraterrestrial intelligence, potentially intent on an attack. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Harvard's losing an awful lot of money. They're funding, aren't they? So could this be a fishing for funding for whatever reasons?
No funding's been saying, hey, we need to get more on this and everything to that degree, Andy. It's just been one of Avi Loeb's continued talking about potential alien crafts coming to the planet. Remember, he had even posited at one time that alien crafts passed by Earth and dropped down probes, which came down, believe it or not, with parachutes.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? All this technology that these entities would have, that they can transverse, they can travel infinite distances through space and God knows what else, and they have to come down by parachute. So yeah, good on them. Yeah, I can see them with a little rows of pedals in their craft, all pedaling to keep the thing going through space. So yeah.
Well, it's garnered enough, if you want to call it prevalence, that, even the Hubble Space Telescope has been going and trying to image this object as it's been moving towards Earth. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I guess I just brought it up right now. There we go, for everybody to go ahead and see. Now, let me get back to my story where I was at, and let's go ahead and continue. Thanks, Andy. Freezer Man, before we move on, your hand is up.
I was just wondering, Thomas, if Avi Loeb has been consulting Dr. Stephen Greer over this. That's why he's come up with this theory, that's all.
You never know, but you remember, Avi did at one time, was collaborating with Darth Vader himself, Sean Kirkpatrick from ARO, to go ahead against discoveries that were coming out from the Ukraine Academy's Astronomical Academy of Sciences. So it just kind of comes in there and says, you never know where Avi's going to go to, but I digress. Let's move in. So this isn't... Yes. Okay. This, as we were just talking about, this isn't Avi's first foray into such territory. No. In 2017, remember, he speculated that Oumuamua, or Mama, as we called it here sometimes, another interstellar visitor, might be an alien probe, a hypothesis detailed in the 2018 Astrophysical Journal Letters paper co-authored with Shmuel Bailey. As Scientific American's 2018 profile of Loeb highlighted his belief that advanced civilization could possess technology far beyond human comprehension. a theme that he expands on with 3i Atlas. The object's close approach to the sun is slated for October 29th, 2025, on the opposite side of the sun from Earth, complicating observations but adding urgencies to his claims. We should say this object is coming very close, though, in its approach, and will, I would call it more of a near miss, almost, with Mars. Avi's arguments rest on several anomalies. He notes the 3i Atlas appears anomalously bright for its estimated size, suggesting a reflective or artificial surface. Additionally, its speed, which is approximately 60 kilometers per second, and a lack of typical cometary features such as dust or a gas plume, fuel his speculation. In his paper, Avi questions whether this object could be an artifact rather than a natural body, given the rarity of the 20-kilometer diameter interstellar objects based on our solar system deals with, like asteroids. Alice, your hand is up.
Didn't I change directions too, or am I thinking of something else? I thought something went by, and they thought it was going out of our.
That was Oumuamua. Back in the day. Yeah, there was changes. There was an increase in velocity when that increase of velocity should never have been there. So that was the last time we had an interstellar object. The one thing I'm concerned about, honestly, is we've had 3 interstellar objects in a short amount of time. Could the Earth be traveling into a superhighway potentially, or a field of these fast-moving objects? Remember, every 6,000 to 12,000 years, our Earth goes through a potential cataclysmic cycle, and this could be signs of something heading our way. What do you think, Mike?
Sounds like Revenge of Oumuamua to me.
Yeah.
Avi Loeb is concocting this half-assed story. So, like Andy pointed out, try to get funding restored back to Harvard that was cut from the federal government. From my understanding, this object that's moving in, Atlas 3, it's got jagged edges on it. It looks like it broke off from a larger object. It is definitely a rock. It is not something that was manufactured or created with smooth surfaces. It's going to be passing behind the sun. If it was going to invade the Earth, like he claims, it would have been on a direct trajectory to the Earth,
right?
Not behind the sun. So, yeah, he really sounds like a schmuck by making outlandish claims like this without any hard evidence to back any of it up.
I hear you, my friend. It's a concern we all have, but this is in the news, and a lot of people are talking about it. That's why we're covering it here, regardless if it comes from Loeb or not. You got to remember also that it hasn't been seeing outgassing and stuff. But if this is a comet, Mike, it wouldn't be a giant rock. It would probably be a giant chunk of ice that has water on it that's older than our solar system.
Right. But if it had water and it was approaching the sun, it would be outgassing.
It hasn't gotten close enough yet.
Well, then I guess as we approach that date, and it becomes more observable, we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
I don't buy his story.
I got you, my friend. It's always questionable on our front. And just for those people who have come into the show, yes, thank you for joining us a little bit later. We'll recap on Lue Elizondo after on the story again, because we've about doubled the amount of people in the audience since we started off the show. So let's get to it. Finish off Avi Loeb here. So Loeb, as always, Avi's hypothesis must be viewed within a broader scientific landscape where rigorous evidence is paramount. The paper remains pre-peer reviewed, meaning it has not yet undergone the scrutiny of the astronomical community. Mike, that seems to be a plan that a lot of scientists, and hopefully Beatrice is also taking, because there's been talk on X that her next paper is going to be coming out within the next week.
That's right. Her colleague who made that video a week ago, Dennis Asberg, had stated yesterday that that paper is due to drop in about a week's time.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
We're going to have to replay that video here shortly as well.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot to cover, and we're going to keep the audience updated on this information as it presents itself and comes out. It's definitely going to get everybody's attention.
Mm-hmm. If we can. Andy, what say you?
Yeah. So you're saying basically that, that these scientists are going to be potentially releasing information without it being peer reviewed. Now, I see that as a double-edged sword. It gets the information out.
Get out the
away, yeah. Yeah. So what would the other consideration is people will say is, well, it's not been seen by your peers, so what you're bringing out is, you can look at it. What Beatrice brings out is 100%, but then you could turn around and say, oh, what Avi Loeb brings out isn't, and then you get people, well, hang on, you're saying one's okay and one's not. It's good that it's being brought out, faster, but then I can see us getting into the quicksand over, different people's opinions on whether it should be peer reviewed or not. So,
I like the idea coming out and bringing out papers before they go through the peer review process, because a lot of times when it goes through the peer review process from existing scientific or archaeological or societal norms, there's a lot of bias that can get into the peer review process, because if someone brings something out that's shocking and it breaks our model of what people accept as reality, a lot of times it'll crumble and fall in the peer review process because of the bias to go ahead, irrespective of the facts and evidence that's being brought forward. They may go ahead and poo-poo on it because of their concern. Does that make sense, Andy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Very quickly, I'm just going to quickly, somebody asked what shirt it is. Yeah, it's a like a demon skull with all slashes in it. But it does. Yeah. I think it's a good thing that this gets, if the evidence is empirical is
empirical, yes.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. If it's 100% and it's open and plain for everybody to see, I don't actually care whether Beatrice brings this out or even Avi Loeb. If their information is good and it can be, people can talk about it and actually say, okay, yeah, one or the others is good or bad, or they're both really good, then I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Andy, let me clarify a couple of things for you, mate. Number one, Beatrice's papers, and I use the plural on that, papers. She has more than one. Two have both been submitted for peer review and accepted, but the peer review process can take weeks or months. And with that, there's no guarantee during that time that they're going to publish any of those papers that have been submitted. And if they don't, then more time goes by and we don't have any information that comes out publicly. And as we saw with the Ukraine astronomical study on UAP, they had some compelling evidence. They did a lot of research on that. We've covered it here on the show countless times already. What happened was Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and Dr. Avi Loeb got together and wrote a paper that had disputed the research that was being done in the Ukraine, because their argument was it would defy known physics, because at the speeds that UFOs seem to be operating within the atmosphere of the Earth, with our understanding of physics, they would burst into flames, not taking into consideration that these objects or craft may be operating outside our understanding of physics and could be utilizing technology so far advanced that they have no direct interaction with Earth's atmosphere. But they disregarded that and simply poo-pooed it by saying that it's if it's not bursting into flames, then there's nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Problem was the Ukrainian Astronomy Society had also tried to submit their paper for peer review. But after the paper that Dr. Kirkpatrick and Dr. Loeb had submitted, and with the amount of influence in the scientific community that they had, especially Dr. Loeb coming from Harvard University, the paper decided to deny the research, and as a result of that, it shut the Ukraine study down.
Right.
And we've talked to them, and they are no longer interested in pursuing the good, credible work they've been doing this entire time because of that.
So what we're talking about, Mike, is I've got this paper here from the 23rd of August, 2022, that came from the Ukraine Astronomical Observatory, where they had talked about different types of objects that they had seen in our upper atmosphere and closer to Earth. First, they had something they were calling cosmics, were bright orbs that they were seeing in our upper atmosphere, where they were seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of these objects. In addition to that, they also were tracking the objects as they were moving around, to show them from one spot to the next, changing from one luminance to another, clearly showing an intelligent control of what was going on with those particular objects. Also getting into the objects, and this is a swift object, this is another one like a cosmic, because it's moving quicker, getting into the light patterns that are coming over the object. They also dealt with an object called a phantom, which is a completely black body that does not emit light. It absorbs all the radiation falling onto it, Mike, which completely ties to the observations we have from Malta from 2021. That's why when I saw the paper in 2022 from Ukraine NAS and it matched up the video evidence we had coming out of Malta, I knew they were onto something because, patterns tell stories, don't they?
Yeah, plus you have to remind the audience that when they were doing this study, they didn't have one telescope.
No, they had multiple.
Watching this activity. Right. They have multiple data points tracking these objects to confirm the data that they got, which was highly credible.
Yeah. So figure 19 right up here. Actually, it's right down below 18, figure 19 down here. Composite of figure 19. What are they saying? Figure 19 shows a composite image with the bright Falcon Swift and high-speed Phantom. High-speed Phantom, those are the ones we saw in Malta that were going about 14,000 miles per hour, dive-bombing fighter jets within 70 feet of the front of the craft that's going 450 miles per hour. So they came in and shot out, but they came very close to what humans would call, oh my God, it's a near miss. But Mike, it's not really a near miss if you're driving a car down the road and you see a turtle that's slowly crossing the road and you go around it. Granted, you could call it a near miss, but there's intelligent control behind these craft, just like with humans avoiding a turtle, that would allow us to avoid it. Now, what do they say? We see them everywhere. We observe a significant number of objects whose nature is not clear. So they're seeing a bunch of objects in the atmosphere, from cosmics to phantoms. But more importantly, this ties back to something our dear friend Lue Elizondo has said in the past. What did he say again, Mike?
That if people were able to clearly observe how many of these objects are directly above and overhead, they would shit themselves.
Yeah.
So
they're everywhere, potentially.
Right, they're everywhere, exactly. Which is the same point that, if you remember, Dennis Asberg made last week. He said they're everywhere, which is part of the research that Dr. Villarreal has been doing and is going to be coming out with shortly.
Yeah.
They seem to be everywhere.
Now, back about these observations, there were two observatories in two different locations, about 50 or so kilometers apart, if not more, that had their if you want to call it, their cameras, or their, if you want to call it, telescopes, focused on the same spot of the sky. So they were able to determine the distance, the speed, and everything, because this wasn't just observed from one location, but multiple.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why Dr. Loeb and Dr. Kirkpatrick did not want this information to be published in the journal after the academic and the peer review, because people would start to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And they don't want that.
Yeah. Talking about
Andy,
taking... Go ahead, Mike.
Going back to your point about Dr. Villarreal, she was advised about this Ukraine study, which she's well aware of, and was informed that during the normal peer review process, that these papers of hers, if they were not released publicly, nobody would be aware or have the ability to understand the work that she was doing, because like with what happened with the Ukraine Astronomical Society, their work was never published, it was never accepted publicly, and it got shut down as a result of that process. So I believe that Dr. Villarreal was told directly that the best course of action at this point moving forward would to bring her papers out publicly during the peer review process and long before that process is completed, so this way nobody can shut her work down. Right. And being the good scientist and good person that she is, she took that advice and she released the first paper, which we covered yesterday. And now the next paper, which is the one with the smoking gun evidence, should be coming out in about a week's time. And we'll be covering that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. If I could,
sorry, Thomas. Can I very quickly?
Go ahead. Yes, then we'll cover the super chats next. Go ahead.
I think this is the better option. If it's undergoing peer review, bring it out, let everybody have a look, see, and then we can actually have a proper discussion without it being buried under a ton of rubbish or whatever. So I think it's a good idea for her to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to make one point about that real quick, Andy. Unlike most people that have been given good advice like that in the past, and they have made their decisions of not following or taking that advice, I have to say that Dr. Villarreal was smart enough and has an open mind enough to understand the implications of it and made the proper decision based on that advice to now release these papers early and out to the public. So my hat's off to her for doing that. Really grateful that she was able to accept that those suggestions and follow through on them, which I've noticed in the past a lot of people have not done that. And they'll remain nameless right now because it's not who we're talking about.
Right.
So,
and if Avi Loeb goes ahead and reports, releases papers before they're peer reviewed, someone like Beatrice should take the same approach. Because a lot of times, as I said earlier, the peer review process, like what happened with Ukraine, they put out these phenomenal documents talking about these observations. Clearly, there was a call from the United States to Ukraine to say, shut this shit down, because you had Kirkpatrick going to Avi Loeb's house, arriving unannounced, supposedly to talk about the situation, and the next morning Avi Loeb put out the co-authored paper contesting what happened in Ukraine. Now, the interesting part about it is Ukraine, in response to Avi Loeb's statements, released an updated report with more information that we've got going here. But the problem is, if I can bring it up, Avi Loeb never responded to any of the information that he was deeming unfit when it was represented to him. So clearly he was in a situation of working with our government. Remember, Avi used to be part of Israeli intelligence back in the day,
which works hand in hand with American intelligence.
Yeah,
so
it does.
It's not a big stretch.
Yeah. If we can, Mike.
know, based on what Dr. Gary Nolan recently said, Thomas, you remember this, he was reached out to by the White House, and what did they tell him?
Go ahead.
They told Dr. Gary Nolan, shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You're getting too close. Stop talking.
Right.
Yeah. But if we can, about asking people to stop talking, I want to bring this up. I'm trying to bring it up for the last minute or so. We've got a bunch of super chats, Mike, that have been coming in from members in our audience, and I will acknowledge people for their donations to Disclosure tonight to keep our program going. Who are we talking about? Lord McCormick, thank you very much. Keep on keeping on, Thomas and the DT family. We'll be back as soon as I'm fixed. Oh, no. Sounds like we'll find some more information shortly. Europe, coming from Mr. Catfish 2100. Vern Dude, gotta say, Disclosure tonight live chat is one of the best around. You're all a such decent humans. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Vern Dude. Laura McCormick, by the time they will arrive, they will have to take a ticket and stand in line as we're too busy fighting for our wars to entertain the aliens at the moment. Lord McCormick says again, we miss you all wonderful people more than you know. Post chemo, oh no, I listen to the show, all of your voices, and I dream may not sound much, but my God, Lord McCormick, hopefully the chemo is going well for you. There's a lot of research coming out about chemo recently. Dig into it, especially if you're a kind. Never believe one doctor. Always do the research yourself, because doctors don't perfect medicine, Mike. They practice medicine.
Practice it.
Bingo.
That's right. Yeah, well, listen, Lord McCormick, you know our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family as well. We hope to see you get through to the other side on this and join us again here on the show. Nothing but the best, my friend.
Absolutely. Coming into it, we have one more from Mac After Death. Used to be Anthony Mac After Death. Why don't they just aim the James Webb Telescope? Good point. They've aimed the Hubble at it, but they haven't put the James Webb, I think, at this interstellar object. That seems like the most logical thinking. I'd have to agree. And Lord McCormick and Gatton said, don't stop ever. See you guys soon. One love. One love, family. Thank you very much, Lord McCormick. Our heart and our prayers go out to you, and hopefully to make it through what you're going through.
And we'll be here waiting for you when you do.
Oh, you better believe it, my friend. Absolutely. And to come up in a little recap before we continue on with the story for our audience who has joined us late. Yes, we're talking about Lue Elizondo, what has happened to Lue. We care about him greatly. And in the past 2 months, Lue has gone under a major transformation, just in appearance-wise, where his eyes are a bit more sunken in, and we're seeing, muscle and potentially loss of tissue in his face and everything. We just hope that he's doing well, and we send our hearts and prayers to Lue and your family.
Yep. And that's what we've been covering.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's just one of the things of someone, I've been engaged with Lue since 2021, if not earlier, and it's just you see a change in someone, and not that we're trying to spread rumors, we're just trying to take what came out and what's visible literally in a 2-month period of time. This isn't Ozempic, because Ozempic takes many months. He could be on a cutting routine from his usual training and everything, doing a lot more cardio, but usually in that you don't see so much muscle loss going along with it. We love you, Lue.
We do.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get out the other side as quickly as possible.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Trying to go ahead and
worry.
bring up my story. Where did it go? Now I lost it. Son of a bitch. Okay, it's not down there. It just popped onto another monitor. Let me find this really quick. Where is it at? It popped here somewhere. There it is. I found it. All right, let me bring this thing up. Where was it at? Okay, so let's get into this thing. Back in the story about Avi Loeb and the Atlas situation that's going on. NASA's Near-Earth Object Program, which tracks potential threats, has not classified 3I Atlas as a hazardous object as of July of 2025. Though its unusual path warrants further study, the ESA, also known as the European Space Agency, monitoring efforts similarly show no immediate harm, but the object's behavior has prompted renewed interest in interstellar visitors. Now, critics, however, point to the lack of corroborating evidence. The object's distance from the sun and position in late October will limit terrestrial observations, leaving Avi's interpretation reliant on early data. Astronomers, like those in the University of South Queensland in Australia, cited in Newsweek's 2024 coverage and argue that UAPs are more likely to have natural or human-made explanations. Such atmospheric phenomena or advanced drones. Yes, we know they're getting paid off by the government. Despite the skepticism, Avi's track record, and the cultural momentum around UAPs. Keep the conversation alive. Now, the claim has resonated with the public primed by decades of science fiction and recent UAP disclosures. The Pentagon's 2021 and 2023 congressional hearings, which acknowledge the UAP, have fueled speculation about alien visits. So there's a lot of speculation in here, and if Avi's prediction holds, the consequences could be seismic. An alien attack, if even limited to a single object, could disrupt global systems. Supply chains might falter, financial markets could crash, and governments will likely redirect sources to defense or space monitoring. Historical precedents, such as the 2008 financial crisis, of course, triggered the Lehman Brothers collapse. It illustrates how unforeseen shocks can destabilize economies. A perceived extraterrestrial threat could exacerbate these effects, testing international cooperation. Now, more plausibly, 3-Eye Atlas may be proven benign or natural, debunking Avi's theory. In this scenario, the scientific community would gain valuable data on interstellar objects, advancing our understanding of the cosmos. NASA and international observatories are expected to provide updates as the object nears, with observations potentially clarifying its nature by late October or early November. The outcome will shape public trust in such hypothesis and influence future research into UAPs. How about that? Interesting information. If we can, we have two friends in our back in the viewer call-in. Remember, folks, viewer call-in is there for a reason. You have a question, you have something you want to share with us, follow the link and we'll be happy to go ahead and talk with you. Now, Alice W., your hand is up, and then we've got Laura. Go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, Thomas. The people that I have been talking to on the EVP are not ghosts. They are, from what I believe.
But Alice, this has nothing to do with the conversation we've got going right now.
Yeah, it is, because they told me that they travel through portals. They don't come all the way through space. They travel through portals. And they're also from another dimension. They're not in this dimension, and they travel through portals to our dimension.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Alice. We appreciate the information.
Yeah.
Laura, you're next.
Yeah, Avi. Shame on him for stating that people should take their vacations before October 29th if they're planning a vacation. That is just unbelievable. And I did task it to be remote viewed, and it's a giant jaggedy rock that broke off of another even larger rock. It's not going to be a problem, according to my remote viewer. And I would say that it seems almost like he's trying to see the reaction that people have from that statement. Because why else would you say something like that? So shame on you, Avi. The other thing I wanted to mention was I'm curious to see what format Beatrice uses for her, if she's going to do a press conference, what time of the day, because she wants to reach an international audience. Is she going to select a Friday night? Is it going to be with people, or is it going to be pre-recorded and released? I think
she's going to do the exact same thing she did yesterday with the first paper on nukes and UAP. She's going to then release these paper on the journal side with a link to it and post it on her X account. And then after that, she's going to come on the show here with Thomas and me, and we're going to have a discussion about it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Excellent. You better believe it, my friend. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I've just got to say, if they're planning on an invasion, I hope this craft it doesn't land in some of the areas of Bristol, because if they do, they better stick near to their craft. Otherwise, they'll find it jacked up on a pile of bricks and all their wheels gone.
I got you, my friend. You have to keep your mind open to any of the claims anybody makes at any time. But if we go ahead and honestly just ignore them, we're not doing a service to the community. All right, where was I at? I think we've got the story about Avi taken care of and everything. And let's see what happens, Mike, potentially as it gets closer to the sun. Are we going to start seeing an outgassing? Because again, some of the scientists out there are talking about this and saying that, yeah, we've got something. It's packed with packed with water that's older than Earth, which is estimated to be 7 billion years old. We'll find out, huh?
And speaking about that, I just want to say that there is no alien force coming to invade the Earth.
Oh.
They have been here I told you Tyler was going to join us.
Yeah.
They have been here for a very, very long time, and they're not coming from elsewhere to finally arrive here.
Yeah.
They've been here longer than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah. Absolutely, my friend. And to go ahead and break our conversation, what's been going on, we have a special unannounced guest. We have Tyler coming in again from the Total Disclosure podcast. And I think he just got finished with an interview with Avi.
Yeah, he did. Hi, Tyler. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us here on the show. How you been, my friend? I think your mute button is on, Tyler.
Sorry, I didn't think it was gonna bring me in so quick, so I was still getting set up a little bit. So I apologize.
If you need some more time, we can give you some more time, my friend. Great to see you.
If you want to give me like a minute, I think.
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely, my friend.
I didn't know it was going to bring me in that quick. I thought I was going to have to request, but I think it did it automatically. So now I just look like
we saw you popped in, so get yourself ready, my friend. Go ahead and take care of stuff, Mike. Say something to bring him off camera.
Yeah. All right.
That's fine. Good to see you either way. And you're a friend of the show. That's why you came right in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
Thank you. So just a sec.
Yeah, go ahead and say something again, Mike. There we go. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, go ahead. There we go. Let's go ahead and change it around, get it there. All right. So, yeah, we're going to have an interesting conversation. Tyler on Total Disclosure Podcast, if you remember his salacious interview that he had with Eric Burleson with regards to, what was it, cover-ups in the ICIG, Mike?
Yes, it was. That was a great
talking
interview
about programs that the executive branch is running that have been going on and skirting around congressional oversight. That's huge.
Oh, it's beyond huge. And it's interesting to hear Representative Burleson speaking publicly about that.
Yeah.
Good information.
Yeah, no, Mike, before if we go ahead a little long, I just want to remember, look at this. We have 475 people watching the show, only 138 likes. Do us a favor, friends. If you're enjoying the show, enjoying our podcast, or we're kicking out again, at least go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you're going to give us a thumbs down, at least tell us in the comments below what we can try and do to improve our quality. Because, Mike, what is the cost of giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to Disclosure tonight?
Oh, it's absolutely free. But we also include a double your money back guarantee with that. So you have nothing to lose, but only to gain. So please, by all means, like
and it helps us with the YouTube algorithm and how they go ahead and share our show with more people. And we appreciate your love and support for everything we do here.
We do. That's why we're here. And that's why we bring the information out that we do so that everybody can be informed on what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, and Mike, we've got a huge one here. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I saw this morning and about shit the bed for that matter. Not really, but yeah, this is an explosive one for that matter. Yes, as of the sea surface temperature anomaly, as of the 21st of July, 2025, this is Greenland right here. This is up in this space where something called the Beaufort Gyre is, and there's been a huge release of cold water coming down into the Atlantic Ocean, which signals at the something called the Beaufort Gyre, which is a huge, if you want to call it, freshwater lake that has broken through, and it's now flooding into the Atlantic. And they've talked about this. When this happens, we'll go ahead and give us into a potential mini ice age and other stuff that could go on and further exacerbate the shutdown of the Atlantic median overturn circulation, which is the transfer of water from if you want to call it Antarctica at the bottom of this map, that goes along South America, comes up around the United States and Florida, and goes up and gets into Greenland, where it cools down, drops, and then goes on the continued circulation, eventually heading towards the Indian Ocean. This huge release in cold water is a concern for humanity because it's going to affect the temperatures in Europe. It's going to drop temperatures in some areas and could set us into a potential mini ice age. And depending on what goes on with the AMOC, they've already seen that the if you want to call it circulation around Antarctica has also changed recently to where it's flipped, and you're getting all this upwelling of warm water that's in higher salinity, which is going to be melting and increasing the melt coming off of Antarctica.
Yeah, so that'll mean more coastal flooding around the globe.
Oh, yeah. That and a lot
Doesn't
more. And
sound
if
good to
anything,
me.
it will go ahead and stagnate the water moving from Antarctica up around the United States and just cool things off, increase or decrease the amount of oxygenation of the water, and just kind of start dealing with the weather all around the planet. Yes, we've been hot. We've been talking about the Earth getting too hot, but when we start seeing outgassing or release of, if you want to call it, much colder water coming into systems, there is a cause and there is an effect. And if you remember, we're talking 4 or 5 years ago when Trump was in California and they're talking about the earth getting warmer. Trump at that time, yeah, but I've heard that things are going to be getting colder, and we're hitting that point.
Yeah,
Irrespective of carbon dioxide levels still getting higher. And now remember, carbon dioxide levels are still way below what it was during the age of the dinosaurs.
Right. No, you're right. That sounds like we're going to be experiencing potentially dramatic changes moving forward.
Yeah, potentially, my friend. That's what we're kind of looking at. So let me get out of this one. Let's see what else I have in my piece here.
I feel like the dimensions are so weird
Yes.
in Google.
Welcome,
Is it me, or
Tyler.
is it the
Thank you
camera
for
just,
joining
like,
us.
off?
Yeah, your camera seems to have had a mind of its own, Tyler.
No,
I swear, it's like I can't get it centered the right way.
There you go. Put it there. A little bit more to the left. A little bit more. You got to get your chair centered. I'll help you get there. Say something, Tyler, and we can see your camera.
Christ almighty.
There you go.
You know what? This is going to have to be good for now. But yeah, so thanks for having me, dudes.
Anytime. You're
Yeah.
a friend of the show. You're more than welcome. You know that from the last time you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny hearing you guys. What were you guys talking about? Global warming?
Yeah.
Well, global warming or just global climate change of what's going on. And Tyler, it's not just in on Earth, but all of our planets, except in our solar system, except for Mercury, have been showing signs of climate change. So it's not just us, and humans can't affect everything else. There may be a bigger universal system at play that's affecting our solar system or affecting everything as we transit around the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, I think that our footprint is so. I mean, yeah, you could make an argument that we've made a difference. Of course, we have, but it's just so small. Again, we have to it's kind of like zoom out and see the imprint that humans have had. It's only been for a very limited fraction. A half of a fraction, a half of a half of a half of a half of the cosmic scale that we've been here the way we are. Our universe goes in, influxes and, ice ages, and then, a complete opposite. It's ebbs and flows, and I think shits are always hitting each other. Impacts are always happening. Maybe there is something that's like affecting it in its entirety. I don't know what that could be.
Yeah.
But to say that we have any of the answers, or that we're the main reason that didn't Antarctica like grow the ice?
Yeah, it has. There has been an increase in ice, but now they've had a change in the circulation. There's something called the Maklanovich cycle, or something to that extent, that tracks the warming and cooling trends of the planet. And right now, if anything, we've been at the top of the trend for our current cycle. And what happens when you get to the top of the trend? There's a rapid de-escalation and a rapid cooling that happens on the planet.
Yeah, and I think it's just that our planet and our solar system, it's again just like everything else. It's an organism in itself, and it's going to go through radical change throughout its life, based on the circumstance and the condition it's in. So, I mean, we're definitely attributing to it, but I think politicians and people are more or less using climate change as some sort of driving factor for their campaigns. And again, sadly, that's really what it all comes down to, is talking points for politicians and what drives the public interest. And climate change sounds, kind of sexy. We're at the front of it. We're the sole reason for it. Humans bad. Nature good. And it's like setting up a villain in a story, but it's all just for talking points for politicians and to raise funding. In reality, no one gives a no fucking person truly. In Congress, I don't think they're out hugging trees and picking up cigarette butts off the side of the highway, but they'll definitely use climate change as a speech tactic.
Yeah. Now, if we can jump to a topic a little bit more related to UAP, you had Eric Burleson on your podcast last week, and he made some, if you want to call it unbelievable kind of comment regarding the ICIG. Do you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, I think what he said is that the ICIG had looked into David Grush's story, and what they were pulling up was in his favor. There were some things that they couldn't verify, but that was because of clearance levels and other determining factors. I'm not sure. But the real message that I got was that, because I wanted to know what their role really is. Like, what is the role of the ICIG? And let me ask you, what do you think the role of the ICIG is?
Mike?
Oh, I know what it is. They are there to investigate any type of criminality or malfeasance, and investigate if there is improprieties in regards to programs, oversight, and finances. And from what I understand, what happened with Grush when he had made his complaint to the ICIG is that they found in their investigation that there were programs operating without oversight from Congress that had illegal funding. Yeah. And they were progressing, and they were pursuing that, and I believe they ultimately refer it to DOJ, because that's who does the actual prosecution, Tyler, not the ICIG. They're just an investigative body, and whatever they determine or find, they refer to DOJ to prosecute.
And there was an issue, if I could add to this really quick, when Grush went to the DOD ICIG, they actually went and shared the information when they shouldn't have, and it caused retribution against David Grush, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Now, if I could, Tyler, before you get to it, I want to go ahead and play this clip here. It's a minute 26 from your podcast, so we can talk about it. Here we go. Let's get the audience up to date.
For Daniel Miller asks, after you met with the ICIG, you said some aspects of Grush's claims were true. Can you elaborate on what claims specifically? What role does the Yeah, good.
Yeah, so that was an interesting meeting. They basically said that they don't have enough information. They weren't able to get into the details of what these programs were or were not doing. But what they were able to investigate, because they're mostly they're investigating the finances, is that the programs are not following the law, that they're not reporting to Congress, that the programs are overly compartmentalized. They're not even, they said that the Office of Inspector General had a hard time getting these programs to even respond to them.
Right.
That's not acceptable. And so they confirmed, of the Grush's allegations, those were consistent with what he was saying.
Yeah. So what role does the ICIG still have in all this, if any?
They're mostly looking at any kind of...
Is it the financial aspect?
Right, the financial aspects.
Interesting enough, Tyler, great interview with Eric. You really uncovered some information that people haven't heard before.
Yeah. Well, obviously what sparked me was because of course, I think most people have heard of the speech that I think it's Donald Rumsfeld. I could be misspoken, but that he gave before 9/11 about how there was $2.3 trillion missing or unaccounted for, and T with a like Tyler.
Oh yeah.
So and then that sector of the Pentagon gets hit, and I don't mean to bring like 9/11 conspiracy into it, but that part of the Pentagon that got hit was where all the financial records and all the paper trail was for that. And then a few days later, or a few weeks later, I don't remember the time frame, but they come out and then they're like, oh yeah, we balanced the books, don't worry about it, it's all squared away. We figured it out where the 2.3 trillion is. And since then, the Pentagon still has not passed an audit. And I think there's probably a good chance that money's either being funneled into these deep special access programs by whatever means. But I think there's a good way that they're probably also doing it. You hear about these things where, because you got to remember, the government doesn't do anything. They don't hammer any nails in, right? They contract out to have those nails hammered in. So they pay for everything to be done. The government doesn't do anything. They allocate and oversee. So what we're finding is that they're, charging, $149 for one nail. It's those kind of things. It's misallocation of funds, most likely being siphoned off to go into these special access programs. And that doesn't just deal with UFOs. That deals with, that's one facet, right? That's the materials side of it. Who knows where it goes in terms of other things and experimental this or that and MK Ultra. I don't God knows what. Yeah.
Well, we just had who was it, Lockheed Martin go ahead and bring out that they had almost $1 billion loss to the overall bottom line because a top secret project that was going on, they probably did it at a fixed bid, and it really affected their ability to operate as a business.
Yeah. And another thing the U.S. government does is patent seizure. I think that's another place that we need to keep an eye on as a community, is because the U.S. government will seize a patent and they will then they'll basically tell the inventor that unless you work directly with us, it's over. You can't use this. Slap a national security tag on it, and it never sees the light of day unless on the other end is the U.S. government and the U.S. government only. So that's where I think things like T. Townsend Brown's work in gravity. I think the Tesla, his files were taken in an attempt to obviously facilitate work that was being done, you know, in the 50s and 60s on gravity propulsion. And do I think that the Tic Tac could be Lockheed? Absolutely. I've always thought that. But the real question is it a combination of the two, or is it just purely breakthrough, human breakthrough, underground, you know, that kind of stuff?
I got you, my friend. But remember, back in the days, I think it was in the 50s or the 60s, maybe the early 70s, there were Lockheed senior leadership that actually got out there, and engineering people who got out there and videotaped the Tic Tac flying around Catalina Island back in the days. So this is something that goes back and predates all of our technology that we have. While the Tic Tac could potentially be something that is from humans, it's still really pointing towards something that's from beyond the scope of human ability.
Because, you know, like most of our technology, it's made in the image of, right, what we see, what we want to mimic. So if humans had been seeing these flying cigars for years, and then they could figure out how to make one work, because clearly it works. They're seeing it.
Right? I got you, my friend. You got to remember, over a week's time frame when the Nimitz incident was going on, over 100 of these objects were seen coming down from the upper atmosphere from 80,000 feet down to 50 feet at 56,000 miles per hour. So
yeah, Kevin Day paints a really good picture. I love that guy. He's one of the first people I interviewed, you know, when I first began this journey. I'd always been a part of the UFO community, but not in like a podcasting role. And he was one of the first people I interviewed because I always connected with that case. I don't know. It's just something about it that I was connected with.
And honestly, I learned about the Nimitz incident about 2 months after it happened. That happened in, I believe it was November 2020. When was it again, Mike?
2004.
2004, back in the date, and I had someone sitting about 20 feet, from 15 to 20 feet where I'm at right now, who gave me the details. He was a electronics technician on the back of the E-2 Hawkeyes that were initially dispatched to go ahead and figure out what was going on. So it's a very interesting scenario, to say the least. Now, if you could jump across to, you've got a new interview you're going to be bringing out with Avi Loeb. Is there anything you want to go ahead and fill us in on that?
No, not really. That one, I just don't want to talk about it yet because, so I'm probably 9 episodes ahead of what's coming out.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to, I don't want to get into it yet. We talk about the Atlas.
Yeah. 3i Atlas. Yeah.
3i. We talk about that. But what I really want people to focus on right now is nuclear, because I have an exclusive. Never before have these two sat down and done a podcast. Dave Shindelli and Robert Salas. I filmed it at Contact in the Desert. It's debuting tomorrow at high noon, and it is probably one of the best episodes that I've put out. And it was edited by Kari Lindsay, who worked with Darcy Ware on Dark Alliance. He's my video editor now. So the quality of the content is just, I mean, it's gone through the roof.
That's phenomenal.
We're familiar with that work. Darcy Ware is a friend of Thomas and mine on the show, as well as with you. So yeah, we know Darcy and the work that he does. So yeah, that's one hell of an interview with Bob Salas.
To sit down, sitting down with Bob. I mean, Bob's a good friend of mine. It was sitting down with Bob and Dave Shindelli at the same Schindel. I fuck his name up in the episode too, and it makes for a funny moment. But there was this. I filmed it at Contact in the Desert, right? So I bought them breakfast. We sat down for breakfast. I don't know if anyone went to Contact in the Desert and knows the layout, but there's a restaurant that is in the middle, like where the pool is, and it connects to two halls essentially. And so we were having breakfast there, and just amazing, riveting stuff. And then we filmed the interview, and some weird shit happened during it. So right as Bob's explaining to me about how the nukes set off the like how the nukes started turning off. So what the feeling was in the nuclear silo, or he's saying something like that to me, and he points up, and nothing was up. Like, I just followed his finger up. I was fixated on him, and so as I look up, right at that moment, the alarm sounds, and the alarm in a 5-star resort hotel is a very loud alarm. It is meant to get everybody in like a 20-story building out as quick as possible. So we left it in the episode because it was just so timed so perfectly that it was just weird. But it was an explosive interview. If you can sit through that episode and your stomach isn't turning by the end, then you probably aren't human.
Well, that sounds completely amazing, Tyler. Great work, my friend.
Yeah, because I mean, most people are familiar with the Malmstrom incident, but to have the perspective of Dave, who, kind of gives the perspective from the topside guard perspective, right? So now we're seeing it from two different angles. We're seeing it from beneath the capsule with Bob and how it's being handled underground, but we're also getting a vantage point from an above ground person with Schindel. So they're just and within a year of each other, almost identical craft, orange orbs breach the base and shut down nuclear weapons. And then again, if we extrapolate outwards, this happens over and over and over and over and over. Mario Woods, 20 school bus sized, I can never say that, school bus sized orange gaseous orb on the nuclear, hovering over, codename November 5. And then, now we're talking potential abduction. So something's happening on our nuclear bases, or at least did happen.
Yeah. Well, even the results coming from Beatrice Villarreal with regards to the plates plates going back in the 50s and well beyond, that there has been an increase of these objects in the in orbit around our planet at times when we have both, if you want to call it, nuclear tests going on, but also sightings of UAPs. So there's something magic going on here that goes beyond the normal scope of humanity.
Yes, and it's either, I just had Rizwan Verkin last week to talk about simulation theory, and, I probably had 6 or 7 like existential crises like in my head during that episode, because the implications of what's being talked about, in the episodes that I've been filming lately, they're tremendous, and each person is, you start to see like this, I don't know, maybe like grandiose not plan, but like kind of like a story being told. It's like someone's trying to guide us, but they're not trying to interfere too much, right? They won't always go as far as to overtly step in, but inadvertently, maybe set us on a different path, because we have to remember the next nuke that goes off is the last nuke that goes off. I mean,
along about someone coming in and everything interacting with humanity, this particular object is estimated to be over 3,000 years old. It's something that was found in archaeology as an opart, something we can't explain. But if you look at it, we clearly have something here that looks like someone who was an astronaut in a spacesuit.
Yeah. And that doesn't, I was gonna say, it doesn't even get me started on like that aspect of it, of the, the ancient astronaut theory part of it. Because I think there is, where maybe I don't think like everything Ancient Aliens has ever said. Like, you know, I don't think an ancient alien theorist has ever said no. But I think there's a lot to the original, like the original Von Daniken stuff. And maybe, you know, it's a TV show. They have to kind of keep the wheels turning and keep that production going and, you know, do all that. But so do I think of some of what they say as a stretch? Yes. But the core fundamentals are still, they're just things you can't look away from. Like, you can't just look at that and be like, yep, coincidence. Aha. It's like, it doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
For the audience, just to be clear, I believe you're referencing Chariots of the Gods, right?
Yeah, the original Von Daniken stuff, the Chariot of the Gods stuff. That's the core, the core element to the ancient astronaut theory, you know, modern day. That's the stuff that I think is, you know, pretty compelling. And, you know, go back to Goli Tepe and, you know, all these other places that have been found even since, that shatter paradigms. I think it just continues to show us that we do not know shit. Like, we think we know, but we're missing so much of the story.
Yeah. There seems to be a pattern of ancient civilizations that were here for a period of time. Civilization gets wiped out. These sites, like in Peru, or in Egypt, get re-inhabited by people, and they, if you want to call it, our current archaeologists go ahead and claim, if you want to call it, that these phenomenal structures were built by more recent civilizations, when clearly it points towards something that was in the very far distant past that was re-inhabited by more recent, if you want to call it, humanity.
Yeah, like if you're going to tell me that, you know, so if tomorrow, you know, God forbid, humanity just disappeared, all that would be left after, you know, I don't know however many thousands of years, but, you know, as we see in things like Chernobyl, nature kind of takes over pretty quickly. Yeah. And, you know, what would be left of us after, you know, 250, 300,000 years, it would be the pyramids. It'd be those original structures like that. Like, we might even just be a blip in the geological record. Like, they'd know we were here, and that we were clearly, you know, advanced by our carbon output. But other than that, like, we really wouldn't have anything to show for it.
Well, you'd have Mount Rushmore left over, things that are cast into stone, things that are indelible, things that are unfungible, that cannot, if you want to call it, change for that matter. It would be large structures like that, because you look at the different things that have happened in Europe, where you have the Romans going ahead and building all their structures on top of these giant, huge megalithic blocks that were there, and there's no way they could have done it except rebuilding with their technology on top of it. So yeah, we'll have some things that are left over as a reminder of us.
You want to know something trippy? So think about this. So think about my scenario there, where the humans are wiped off the earth or whatever, but not in like an asteroid impact way, because that complicates things.
Well, asteroid impact necessarily doesn't hit the ground. It hits the water, creates giant tsunamis over a mile high, which we've had a lot of this in our past, and wipes out civilization on the surface.
Yeah. So that would even be more like kind of like literally wiping the slate. But think about things like Cheyenne Mountain, right? They would be almost entombed, and then kind of like zoom out on some of our mountains or things that don't seem like they fit the scenery around them in the world, and think about it like that. So like because people talk about like the Archuleta Mesa or Devil's Tower or these other things, and often wonder if they could be bases of sort. And like I think about it like, listen, we do it. Right? Someone could have done it, yeah. And could they be still be here? I think it's absolutely plausible.
Oh yeah. And where do you go and hide? You go to the opposite side of the moon, potentially. You go to the bottom of the oceans. You go to the places that the humans who like to throw shit like monkeys at each other can never get to. You have to go to
Yes.
someplace safe. More importantly, you have to go to someplace that will survive the ongoing cataclysmic cycle, which has been covered up by the CIA back in the day, of where you can go to actually survive. And where's the safest place you could go on the earth with a cataclysm coming? Bottom of the oceans, underneath the, in the deepest spots, underneath the bedrock. You've got something that even if the water changes and things sloshes, you're still going to be at a pretty much safe location. Now, that doesn't mean they're going and building these domes like we've seen in pictures in the past, glass domes to see what's going on, because they're going down so deep, it's dark, but they're going down someplace where it's survivable for the long term.
I think it's super plausible, and you know, native cultures have said that, you know, that they were the sky beings or whatever, the people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, not the sky beings, but the ones who emerged from or brought them underground and saved them, and then only emerged, you know, like whole. I think many lifetimes passed, and you know, then they emerged, you know, 4 or 5 lifetimes after that. So 5 generations of people lived underground until they reemerged, and that, you know, that's the origin story.
Yeah.
And we see that across the world, and you know, I think, could these be the things that we've mistaken as gods or now aliens? I think it's absolutely possible.
Oh, yeah.
Not only possible, but it's most likely probable as well.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
talking
don't
about things that are
try, serious
impossible
B.
or probable for that matter, I've got a little video here that I've been playing in the background as we've been talking that came recently from the Hubble Space Telescope. And here we're seeing all these different interstellar objects that are way the heck out there that look like Dyson rings or something else, and they're going to zoom into it and what's going on. And it's just one of those things we have to keep our mind open to that. Yeah.
Whoa. Wait, can you zoom back into that?
On, we'll zoom back in. There we go.
The white part.
What is that?
Bingo. But there's not just one of those. There's actually 3 of them. 1, 2, 3.
That looks like something out of Fantastic Four.
That looks like Orion's belt. What it looks like to me.
But it's not.
Maybe his real belt.
There's the stars, but what we're looking at, if we go back a little bit, is coming next to the stars. This one up and to the left, up and to the right. And then we've got another one, let's go in the upper right-hand quarter of that, that's down and to the right of stuff. So definitely interesting things getting observed by Hubble.
But is that even not, does the Hubble not even refract? I don't even know. Is it, could that, you know how like when you point your camera at a light?
Yeah.
Like that, and it gives off like that little refraction. It could that it even, is that even possible? With on this kind
I
of
don't
scale?
know. We've never seen things like this coming from Hubble
That
in the
looks
past.
so artificial that it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Or like it looks like it's holding another universe in itself. That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Where can I look
Well,
at
it
that?
just goes to show you, Tyler, that humanity wants to act like we know everything. But if we look off in the distance, and sometimes we're going to find stuff that actually breaks our interpretation of reality and resets, we're going to have to go back and figure this out again.
Yeah, I think that I just think that that's something that we need to be more humble about.
Oh, yeah.
Is our place in the universe. And you know what I love? That's what I've always loved about the topic of non-human intelligence, is because when you're talking about a non-human intelligence, you know, whether it's conscious or not, you're bringing humanity into regard as one thing, right? So it's like kind of like it equals everyone's playing ground. We're all humanity. Maybe, you know, not the animals and stuff, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not China, Russia. It's not the Ukraine. It's not Taiwan. It's not the United States. It's not Canada. It's not Brazil.
It's not China. It's not Iran. It's not Iran.
Yeah.
It's not Russia. Like these, we've got these videos actually came out from the release a couple days ago that appeared on the Skywatcher site, where we've got objects with 4 in a row, 2 in a row, 1 in a row that are all moving locked in position as they're tracking them in the sky using a low infrared camera.
What did you guys think of the Corbell video? The one of the circle in the clouds that looked more like a nope. Do you guys think that that's refraction?
The one where stuff was moving along and everything. It's really, it's an unknown. Not knowing
weird,
where it is
right?
and everything, and it would look like it was a giant sphere that was moving around, going along with it, and all he could say, it's potentially unknown. But we also have the new undersecretary of the Air Force who was just appointed, who's talked about potentially we have these giant plasma life forms that are moving around in our upper atmosphere, and that could be an answer for that one. So there may be other types of life on our planet that we're not aware of.
If we go back, the original description, and I talked about this with Bledsoe, the original description of angels were not like the cherubs that you see today, but more like what we're seeing, these orbs, bright white lights, in a circular form. So, I think the only thing that's really separating science and religion here is the lens you're looking through.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Mike, your thoughts?
Mike's check.
No, I agree. No, Tyler is right. Things have been described much differently today than they were in ancient times, but I have a feeling that has a lot to do with our perspective then and now, which is how we're able to use these descriptions. So yeah, you're right about that, Tyler.
Well, yeah, and it, zoom is, you can do another one. The Big Bang, right?
Right.
Out of nothing came everything, is what science says, right? Out of nothing, boom, everything, Big Bang. Religion said, God said, let there be light. They're literally saying the same exact thing. They're just phrasing it and framing it in a different perspective.
If you want to call it, recently came out on July 17th. I'm trying to find the image that I want to go ahead and show here because it shows the cosmic web of where we really reside within. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. This is another one saying, James Webb confirms there's something seriously wrong with our understanding of the universe and reveals unknown physics exists. So while we've try to use dark matter and other things to try and explain what we're seeing, it just seems that the basic foundation of our understanding of what is the universe is completely flawed.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I'm not smart enough for that, though.
Neither am I, but I'm just listening. We go ahead and we look at what other scientists are saying, sir.
Yeah, I think that visualization is it's throwing me off because, of course, that can't be the way things look.
See if I can find the one I covered. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
There was something I was going to ask you. So I also, a lot of people are kind of throwing some shade at Burley, Burleson. I call him Burley, of course. But a lot of people throwing shade at Burley for going down and seeing the Booga sphere in the Nazca mummies.
Oh God! Yeah.
He was down there. He happened to be with Dr. Greer. Well, does that excite you guys? Does that make you mad? Does that?
It makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. I think I've got a picture, another picture that came out with him recently, along with Dr. Greer. Dr. Greer is just, if you want to call it, he was the chosen one a long time ago with regards to bringing out disclosure. But as he got into the grift and charging people to come and see UFOs and come to his house for dinner and all these things, it totally turned from someone who's trying to bring out disclosure to someone who's trying to monetize this as much as he possibly can.
Yeah. And they say there's no
here we go. I've got the picture here. This is probably a lot of when people hasn't seen in the past. Let's get it up here. This is with Michael Batista, along with Dr. Stephen Greer. Here's Dr. Stephen Greer, Eric Burleson. We've got.
I do want you to pay attention to one person in the picture, though.
Which person? Uh-oh. We lost somebody.
He said, hold on.
Okay.
The one
Yeah,
all
he's
the
gonna
way to
publish
the
yours,
left.
son.
Yes, who's that?
I don't know.
This guy here is, I forget his name, but that's actually
Michael Missoula.
Michael Mazzola. We've interviewed him
Yeah,
on
he's a
the before.
filmmaker,
Michael has been the
career.
director and producer of all of
Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Greer's videos.
Yeah, but the guy next to him apparently is someone of interest, and I'm trying to figure out who. So at least that's what I've been put on to. Is so that, again, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm not sure, but someone told me to look into who that guy is, and I was like, "Huh, okay,
Yeah.
cool,
Interesting.
I will."
Yeah.
I have not done that yet, but I just wanted to focus
Yeah.
here.
And talking about the cosmic web that our galaxy was within, scientists have just captured the first direct image of the cosmic web, the mysterious structures that holds the universes together. And this is just like an image that looks like what the interior of our brain looks like. If you look at the nerve map that goes on within the structures of our brain and other entities within our if you want to call it our biosphere, our planet, and you just see this repeating structure going in the same place that's our universe. So it's almost...
I've always said to myself, I feel like, the further you look inward, like into an atom, down to the Planck scale, like you could almost put the picture of that up against that picture of the macro of the universe, and like the macro and the micro look almost identical. It's just perspective that changes it, but it's so weird. Like once you start breaking things down, and that's what makes me really like, because again, I started talking about this lately. This point that, I mean, that looks like that looks like you said, neurons in a brain firing, like synapses firing, and it just looks like a living, breathing thing. And it's like, what if we're part of another living, breathing thing, and we're just, I don't know how to like.
And if you get to it on us and you go inside our brains, and then potentially we have that same kind of a thing going on in here that's going on in there that repeats itself, just getting smaller and smaller.
Well, it's like this nesting. It's like the Russian nesting doll of reality. It's just stacked layer on layer on layer on layer of Russian like reality, just stacked. Because what is now but a series of right now, or what is reality aside from a series of right nows compiled upon each other, right? So like I've always found that interesting, is the further you look in towards an atom and get down to the Planck scale, put that picture up against the picture of the what the James Webb is producing,
right? And
they look very similar.
Now, if I take that picture I've got here, let me get out of this particular post. It's for my bookmarks, and go up through my bookmarks. I've got another one of another galaxy. Let's get into this. Where is that at? That should be higher up. Here we go. Here's another example of similar structures, but it's coming from another spiral galaxy, right, with a bit more color.
Oh, it's just so gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that like if you could superimpose that over like a tropical storm, and if you get it to match right, there's equivocally no difference in what they look like, right? From like if you're looking out at it, a spiral galaxy, or what we consider as one of the most devastating natural occurrences is a tornado, or like a tropical storm,
or a hurricane for that matter.
It's gorgeous to me. It's the universe is one thing. It's not wasteful. If a design works, it utilizes it. So I think that's why we see a lot of like what we see, what people report in life forms. I think it's this 5-point system works. I think it once it works once somewhere, then that's like when someone shatters a record, then the next person shatters that record, and it's like once it's done, once it's happened, the universe now has access to it. The collective consciousness now has the ability to obtain it, right? And then it can go past that. But until it happens that first time and it works, then you see it start working. It's the 100th monkey, right? On a vastly larger scale.
Yeah.
So I think if we look at it like that, it makes a lot more sense why most of these things kind of look like us, a lot more of them than not.
Yeah. Well, it shows potentially if you want to see an alien hybrid, Tyler, look in the mirror.
Yeah, I think we all might be.
Well, if you look at the Earth and you look at all the life forms that coexist with each other, the only one that doesn't fit in that coexistence is humanity. Unfortunately,
I said this literally the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shed our fur only to need pelts in the winter. The sun fucking burns us. We have lower back problems up the yin yang. Our biological clock is more attuned to Mars, and Mars just happens to have this huge fucking rip in it and radiological signature that suggests that there was some sort of nuclear catastrophe.
Well,
there.
maybe not nuclear, but potentially an interaction from an interstellar object that was going really fast that hit the planet and just ripped it apart.
Right. Which is arguably worse, of course.
Oh gosh, yes.
And could we be remnants? Could we have been the survivors of that cataclysm, and we poured it here? The last escape pods. I mean, it sounds very sci-fi, but when you really start thinking about the asteroid belt and didn't they just find a new fucking planet?
No, they haven't.
Come on, didn't they just find a new planet? Or not a new planet, but like a new something?
They found that, was it the North Star, Betelgeuse or something like that? They found that when they thought it was going to be going supernova and getting darkened, that they actually found that observations now were showing that there's actually a second star, a binary star, that Betelgeuse has been pulling its material from. And that came out today.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something different then. But needless to say, I just think that, again, it circles back to, I think humans like control. They like to be in control of the situation. And the fear of the unknown is very scary to us. And we avoid it at all costs. So we like to put our narratives on it to make us feel safe. We like to put our religions out there so we're okay with death, and we just want to, we really just don't want to face the truth. I think sometimes, more often than not. I
guess Harold, also known as Reality Check, says yes, a new 5-planet system with the super Earth was discovered, or not just discovered, they finally released the information. So
that Mars thing really does throw me. I think we might be from Mars.
Oh yeah,
because
we had some great remote viewing in the past of ancient civilizations millions of years ago on Mars, potentially.
And, we would have never thrived. So if the dinosaurs weren't wiped out, there's not... So I have two things about that. If the dinosaurs weren't wiped out, there's not a fucking chance in hell that we ever would thrive on this planet. We could just not coexist with those because... for obvious reasons. And then two, if they didn't die out, what would have happened to them? Would they have gotten to a place like us? And could that be like what the reptilian is? Because again, circling back to the idea of once life works, and that dinosaur, if it is like we think it is, then it was teeming with life, different types and varieties of dinosaur. Could one of those species have gotten so or advanced like we did and, started manipulating the world around them? It's not super far-fetched. No pun intended.
It never completely is. Your thoughts, Mike?
No, I agree with the conversation that you and Tyler have been having. None of it is too far-fetched. And if you remember, in regards to Mars, we had Dr. John Brandenburg on the show, who has the theory for many, many years now that he has scientific evidence that there were
Imminent.
nuclear, they were picking up and detecting forms of high nuclear radiation that he feels only could have occurred after nuclear weapons were detonated. It's an interesting theory, and he talked extensively about it. But, you know, until we're actually able to set foot on the planet and do experiments and decide, see for ourselves what's actually there, we're not really going to have any understanding or knowing what occurred until we could set foot there. And that's going to be a ways off for now. We have time.
Elon says what, like 3 years from now?
Who, Elon? Look,
Yeah.
even if he had spacecraft that could take us effectively to the planet, it's not habitable, and we're not close enough to the Earth if we were to send manned flight up to that planet.
I know.
So one of the reasons that Elon is manufacturing his Tesla robots is because they should be sophisticated enough that he could send a workforce up to Mars to start preparing the planet to get ready for when man does get there. Something that I believe he's on the verge of doing, and we will see that probably in our lifetimes. But it's not something we're going to be able to do anytime soon. So we're not going to have direct information on that for a while now. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Tyler.
You didn't. I cut you off, actually, which is the funny part. But thank you for apologizing for me. What do you guys think will be the witnesses that Burleson offered? If
Oh, God.
like
Matthew Brown potentially would be one of them. That's about the only one that's out there. But the problem is we have a bunch of whistleblowers who don't want to come forward potentially for two reasons. Number one, the House of Representatives hasn't done jack shit with the information that have come forward. Number two, like we had the stuff come out with Dennis, I believe, earlier this week, when we heard the stuff that was going on with Beatrice, he came under so much attack from people on X and social media that he took his post down and said, screw this shit. I don't want to deal with it. It's too much. So it comes, the negative influence coming from our community potentially, and that Congress doesn't do anything with it. That's the biggest problem. What do they do with all the information from Grush, Tyler, in all these years? They haven't done anything. And he's probably been our most compelling witness.
And that, right. You know, Burleson got mad at me when I asked him about it. I said,
why?
Well, because I asked him, I was like, do you think that, you know, people are getting kind of fed up with, you know, no follow through? And I felt some tension, even though it was a remote interview. I felt some tension kind of arise, and he's like, well, you know, and he kind of got a little defensive. But I'm like, I mean, you understand that, like, the Johnny Depp trial got more coverage than Grush's testimony.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, it didn't hit the front page of any newspaper anywhere in the United States, not even below the fold.
And it's so what I think, unfortunately, and this is really unfortunate, but I almost think that we have to have a nuclear witness in there, because I think we need to scare some fucking people.
You know, we need someone, not just a witness. We need someone to bring out some hard evidence that cannot be debunked, that people can go ahead and show, and the average person in the world can relate to. Without that, it's just a bunch of talk and supposition and he said, she said, without actually, because we don't have Congress following through. We don't have, you know, other committees. We don't have a select committee coming forward where they actually have subpoena power to get stuff there. That's the problem.
And there are no whistleblower protections for people who do come forward. Their livelihood is threatened. Their family, they have no protection on the law and the books.
Yeah.
And Congress has failed consistently to provide those whistleblower protections. Even Representative Tim Burchett tried to submit a one-page whistleblower protection amendment, and they voted it down. They wouldn't approve it.
They refused to bring it forward, up for a vote.
Yep.
So
Yeah, these people have nothing to protect them. Why would they want to come forward? And the
Well,
American public is losing interest in this, as is Representative, Robert Garcia, and we covered this on the show recently, had said that he knows that a lot of the high-ranking people in Congress are also losing interest in this topic.
That's why I think unfortunately, we need to scare them a little bit. And we need to let them know that these things are shutting our nuclear weapons off.
They've known this. That's known information.
I know,
it's there, but we need something that's more current. Things that are going on, not from the late 60s, early 70s, but things that are going on now.
There's 4 chairs, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if you do it in the right way, so if you have someone like Matthew Brown, and then you have someone like Robert Salas.
Well, what if you have someone who comes forward like Beatrice, who says, yes, look at this. There are 100,000 plus objects that are in orbit around our planet that
make it a whole
aren't from us.
Spectacle. Make it a whole, literally, make it a spectacle. Unfortunately, at this point,
Nathan,
you got to get people excited and you got to get them a little bit scared, right? That's when funding starts coming through.
Yes.
So, our backs have been pushed up against the wall. The UFO community, people think that the toothpaste can't be put back in the bottle. You guys are
They've been doing it. We've been talking about this. Yes. This came out in about 2022 when they said the Air Force and the DOD was trying to put the genie back in the bottle, and everyone said at the momentum at that time, are you freaking crazy? There's no way they can do it. But clearly, Mike, they have been. This has been a recent topic we've been covering.
Yeah. And
for a long time now, since the Grush hearing in July 26th of 2023. It started to go downhill from there. Right after that, Grush was supposed to release his op-ed. That he got a second DOPSA clearance to put information in. And we covered that because he did in October, I think it was around Halloween. He went to New York City, where I am, and he went to Wall Street, executives VIP meeting one night, and he divulged that there was a craft that the United States government is in possession of that is in 40 feet in diameter on the outside, but over 300 feet on the inside, which is example of interdimensional technology. He then confirmed that the biological bodies that we have been in possession of and have recovered are in fact the gray type that people who have been abducted for decades now have had eyewitness testimony about. It was the first time we got confirmation of the exact type of biological entities that we have recovered. Grush came forward with that, and we knew that he was going to put that out in his op-ed. But what happened? We never heard anything further. Now, 2 years went by, and a couple of months ago, when we were supposed to have that hearing, the next UAP hearing,
we've got the new op-ed. It's going to be coming out. It'll be out in the next couple weeks. And that was the beginning of this year, maybe a month. And where's the op-ed? Nowhere.
Gone.
Never showed up.
It's in the same place as the UAP Disclosure Act.
Don't even go there.
Yep.
You know, Tyler, you need to get to the bottom of this. You know who wrote the UAP Disclosure Act? Carl Nell. That's why he's so attached to it. It wasn't written by Congress. It was written by Nell.
Ooh.
Yeah, run with it, my friend.
So I just think that, I think we need to drum up some general public interest because, again, I think the UFO thing, the UFO topic, it goes into these ebbs and flows of public interest because when things get of course, the 27, a lot of people refer to that moment when the Times article hit. And it's obviously public interest gains, but then after about a month it wanes, and it's only getting shorter in between. Attention spans are getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So unfortunately, it's got to be kind of a
current
PR
thing that goes on, because even going back about let's tie two of our topics together. Not only is the DOD putting the genie back in the bottle, they put Grush back in the bottle too. They completely shut him down.
Yeah, and he's still shut down.
They
wouldn't give him back. Nope, he has not had his SCI clearance reinstated. He only has TS, which is something you and I can get. It's not they made sure that he's not going to be able to pick up where he left off. And that was from the last administration and currently in the current administration. They don't want David Grush having the authority to come forward and speak like he didn't before. It's not going to happen. And as far as the public is concerned, Thomas is right. They don't give a shit about this topic right now. They're not going to unless you can provide hard evidence, proof.
I genuinely, and I say this like, I say this, I don't even know if it's with remorse or if it's like with humility, but I really thought, and I kind of still do, that if there was a better moment for a president to pull the fucking trigger,
don't think about this. Look at this over here, and everyone would look at it. Yes,
right?
Oh yeah.
No one would be talking about Epstein for a while. That's for sure.
Or anything,
right? And so I genuinely think that if he could pull it off, and if something like that could work, it could work in our favor. And I like silently have been like wishing it to myself, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if that's like evil or I don't know, but I'm like, I'm thinking about it like tactically as what I would do if I was in Trump's shoes.
And it's a good idea, Tyler. But Thomas and I have talked about
UFOs
this.
exist.
Yeah, listen, we don't know why. Listen, when this president was running his campaign, he had said that he is going to be a disclosure president. He is going to tell the truth.
Mike, he was specifically asked many times with regards to would he go ahead and bring out the truth about UFOs. Right. And he would talk about when pilots came in and talked to him and told him about the stuff he has an interest in it. And he said, yeah, I bring that out. I disclose it.
Yeah, but he also said he disclosed the Epstein list and
he said that
solved the war in a day.
When Biden was in office and we were getting the drone flap over New Jersey, he said that he feels the public has a right to know and that the government should tell them what's going on. And this minute that he gets elected, the first day, he is going to bring the truth out to the American people.
Right.
Well,
so again,
we never got that.
Circling back to the first point I made tonight was talking points. It's all talk for politicians and people to fucking trick you into just getting them in the place they need to be, and then they turn their back, and it's been this way for how long? And we're like a hamster on the wheel. We just keep going,
But
until we hop off.
Well, I say one thing that can change it, Mike. We had a private conversation out this. I'll go ahead and say it in public because it's my direct intention on this. You know how we get something, you need someone with a big mouth who you can't shut up to start talking about it. We need to have Matt Ford, who's a staunch Democrat, has been for a longest time, to reach out to Jasmine Crockett, because she's now was brought up to the second in command, if you want to call it, of the Declassification of National Secrets Task Force. And if we can get more people on both sides of the fence, not just the Republicans, because they're inept at this point, they haven't been able to deliver, get someone on the other side of the fence, and let's do it in a combined effort together with people with loud voices and intentions and passions behind it to make this happen. We need it. It can't just be one side or the other. It has to be all of us together. Just like in Disclosure, we have people who believe and people who don't believe. That what it comes down to is, irrespective of how you want to see it, we want to go ahead and bring that information forward, whether it's one way or the other. Bring out the facts and let us decide what the truth is.
Yeah.
And we need bipartisanship, which is how it began.
Yeah.
And it was at the time that Grush had testified, there was true bipartisan effort in Congress on disclosure. There was. And it changed in the past 2 years, where now there's no interest in Congress, there's no interest with the public. And as far as the executive branch or the White House, they won't touch this with a 10-foot pole. They have no interest in doing that. So what would it take to get everybody's attention? The White House, the Congress, the public, somebody that has actual proof. That would get everybody's attention, and it would refocus back on this subject. That's the one thing that's been missing the entire time.
Yeah.
And if we get that, and potentially we have that, that will change things for the better.
You know what we really need? And I say this I pray to the alien overlords every night for another Phoenix Lights event. Because I think if another one of those events were to happen today, it'd be game, set, match. I don't know why. I just get this like overwhelming feeling that a mass sighting of that size in today's day and age, it would push. I think it would push so hard on that public pressure bubble, and it would think about what the internet would have done for the Phoenix Lights at that time. It would have connected everybody. It would have connected all the research. But it would have been a whole different story.
I'll rephrase the statement that I just made, and I'll include in that if we actually had the hard evidence, the proof that we're not alone on this planet, and that came out publicly, it would not only get everyone's attention on the planet and Congress and the White House, it would also get the NHI's attention for the first time. And they would realize that their secret is exposed, that they are now known as a presence. And I have a feeling that Phoenix Lights event, we might potentially get more of those after the truth comes out. So that all ties together with my point about bringing the truth out there, period.
Well, not just that, Mike. You'd have hundreds of thousands, if not more, objects suddenly appear that we could go ahead and see. Well, remember, they're everywhere, and humanity would freak out if this information were to come out. And I don't think, I think we'd see it, we'd adapt to it, and move forward like humanity does many times in the past.
Eventually,
baby. Bills come due, baby.
You mean like the pandemic, right, Thomas?
But
everybody would adjust, we usually do.
So, let's ask Mike. What do you what constitutes hard proof?
Scientific evidence that is smoking gun evidence to establish beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a presence here with us.
So you're talking about a craft or an entity, and or both.
Or technology or evidence of those objects and craft that are here or near Earth by us. Yes.
Yeah.
I would do it. I think that would change things.
All right. So someone drag Whitley Strieber into a lab.
No.
Extract his implant.
No.
And
no.
If he says it's real.
No, that's not
and
the
it's
proof.
For the greater good.
No.
Well, why hasn't he done it yet?
Implants.
I know.
They've had plenty of implants they pulled out of people over the decades. It hasn't had any effect. Now, that's not what I'm talking about, Tyler.
No, I know. I do. It was kind of a joke.
I got you.
I guess it didn't come off as great as I intended it. But the implant thing, I don't know. It does make me wonder.
Okay, so wonder about this. Let's say there was the actual proof and evidence that we've been talking about. Don't you think at that point the best thing that could be done is to get this out publicly?
Yes.
And have the hearing that we were talking about, not have people that are coming out of the Greer camp talking about that they either believe Lockheed Martin created this technology or that they saw something in the sky without anything to back it up. Somebody that could testify, again, on congressional record that has hard scientific proof. That at that point would be something that would move the needle and get everybody's
Mike, but that takes us back to the papers that came from Ukraine that talked like objects that were black in color that matched what we saw in, we have video of what happened in Malta. They brought out the paper and they got freaking crucified.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did. Just like Gary Nolan, that was told by the White House, shut the fuck up. Don't keep talking about this. Don't put it out there. So, yeah, they don't want this to come out. But if the evidence existed and if somebody was willing to bring this out and we had that proof, it would change the narrative on this. It would get everybody's attention. It would move the needle. Plus, everybody would be focusing again on this subject and what's going on the earth around us and what's here with us, which is what I think we really need to focus on and make that happen, which we can.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about, Tyler.
Yeah.
Well, if
And I don't mean Whitley Strieber or Stephen Greer or any of those other
there's
assholes.
someone out there, if there's someone out there that has some sort of hands-on material or science that's official, if there's some sort of physicality to it, or could be confirmed, I think, of course, that's going to be the best way. For instance, I've always talked about that memory metal stuff. If someone could roll that shit out and be like, here it is, guys, like, we'll give we're going to give a scientist, and we'll have another follow-up a week from now. They'll tell you, they'll confirm what we're telling you right now, but this is of non-terrestrial origin. Yeah, I think that fucking changes everything, of course.
Hey, Tyler, have you ever heard of UFOexplorations.com? Anthony Bragalia is the author there. Write it down, check it out. If you're interested in knitting all the memory metal, the cover-ups that have been going on from Wright-Patterson, everything starting back to Roswell. He's a phenomenal researcher. He's been around doing this for a long time. He's not that known on Twitter, but it's worth checking it out.
Well, it's a thread I've been tugging on. I talked about the patents, and if you look at the patent seizures, you start seeing some funny things. And looking at the public technologies and what would later come out, and you start mapping it out, you start seeing this kind of trend. So whereas, if someone has access to that already, that final product, of course, let's roll that out. But also, I think some detective work should be done on patent seizures and special access programs, and where our money is actually going. Because follow the money. And when you can't
follow the
money,
patents. More importantly, follow the Department of Energy.
It's a good. See, you're on the right trail here. So another crazy thing, which I literally was going to just bring up, it's like you read my mind. Now, did you know if something falls from the sky, right, and it produces, so that's why they always bring, did you know that's why that, like all these UFO people that claim to be abducted, they always test them for radiological signatures. Do you ever wonder why? I don't think it's for safety, because if safety was of concern, I think, you're already fucked once you come into contact with them. But I think anything that falls from the sky or anything that shows a radiological signature is automatically categorized as classified under the Department of Energy classifications. Anything that gives off any radiological signature. Grush also said this. And you ask yourself, why is that? Right? It's immediately compartmentalizing anything with a radiological signature falls from Earth, that is found in Earth, that comes back to Earth. Put whatever scenario you want on it. But it's odd that a Department of Energy, a sector of the government, has essentially classified a layer of reality.
Right. And if you want to get anything out of the DOE, you have to have a FOIA to the DOE. Then you have to have the President of the United States sign off on it, the head of the CIA, and the head of the DOE for any information to come out of the department.
Because by definition, it is the national security concern that you would be asking said question.
Yeah.
So again, why are these safeguards built into that? Now you can argue the regular points because, again, we don't want everyone being able to create a nuclear reactor. We want to keep that technology limited. But why is the nuclear missile classified under the same way a meteor or like a crashed UFO that shows a radiological
It's because
signature?
it's the way they classified it. Anything with a radiological decay to it gets under the, if you want to call it, gets cloaked under the National Security Act, also the Atomic Energy Act of 1954. So there's a bunch of things that were in there that were put in place back a long time ago to cover anything up. And they can go ahead without anything in the new UAPDA and anything that is related to an object with radiological decay, they can go ahead and seize it without question today.
They can bomb your bunkers. I mean, we just saw what they'll do to keep, you know.
I don't think that if we had crash material in the United States, I don't think they'd be bombing us, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? The nuclear topic is a very tightly, it's tight.
Yeah.
It's tight for a reason.
You can't FOIA any information out of the DOE. They have no direct oversight, and it's not something the public would ever have access to.
They have no oversight from Congress, but they have oversight from the from the president, because they're part of the executive branch.
And it directly correlates, or UAPs directly correlate with our nuclear facilities, technology, personnel,
our nuclear waste, and our nuclear material, whether it's for science, medical, or if it's even for weapons. I've seen scatter maps coming up from Gaipan of Europe and showing in France where all the different sites where they have those types of nuclear materials, and there's a cluster map showing the sightings that are more concentrated around all those sites. So yes, the non-human intelligence is highly interested in what we're doing with nuclear materials.
Yeah, and again, like you just got to go back and ask yourself, why? Yeah. And I think the answer is very simple.
Yeah, they don't want the truth to come out. That's why, Tyler.
Yeah, they want us to know they're here, and they want us to know that you might think that you're powerful. You might think that this is, this is the wrong path. Throw these things away, or not figuratively, of course, but you're going down the wrong direction. I think we're trying. They're nudging us in the right direction without directly, overtly interfering. But I think that if we took a step too far,
do you have any? Okay, what is your thought on this one, Tyler? Do you think our government or governments around the world have had direct communication with the non-human intelligence? What's your gut feeling on that one?
My gut feeling is no.
Okay.
My gut feeling is no, because it seems so fucking absurd, but I don't know. I really don't. There's obviously some very compelling suggestions otherwise.
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. Based on evidence, what people have said, other things that have gone on, I would think there's a preponderance of proof. And honestly, we're at a point in disclosure, probably where we've made deals we're supposed to have brought forward the truth at this point, but humanity being the way, we delay, we deny, and everything else. And since humanity, or the leaders of humanity, haven't started bringing that across, they're moving forward with their side of the fence, irrespective.
You know what? I reversed my answer, because I guess I wasn't really thinking about this, but I actually do think that there's a possibility that some sort of negative, they're like evil, like, I don't know. There's something about like, I'd very well think that there are, you've all been in a room with like a person that, glows and changes the room for the better. And, they have like this aura about them, and wherever they go, it's like they change the room for the better. But then there's the opposite, the people that walk in a room and they're like energy vampires, and they suck the room fucking dry of all the joy and pleasantness. Like I definitely think there are people out there that are dabbling in some fucking evil, or might be playing peekaboo with the devil, or some negative entity.
We can go back to the Epstein files on that. That was pure evil, what was going on for such a long period of time. But that's not anything directly connected to NHI or UAP. And I think for the audience, Thomas, you should caveat the statement you made.
What do you mean?
And advise them.
Very fascinated with gravity research, and so I think people are missing the picture here. I think that the two are very, very. So, what are the odds that the people that are controlling the Jeffrey Epsteins and the Diddy's of the world, and honeypotting world leaders and politicians and any people of influence, what are the chances those people aren't the same people that are concealing technology that would better humanity in every single imaginable way possible. I think the chances that we're dealing with the same fucking thing is immeasurably high. Immeasurably. There it is. So Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, I think Eric, I get their names. There's a bunch of them. Epstein's very, very, very interested in Weinstein's work and his program. There's a lot to say that these people, whoever they are the same. That we're dealing with some sort of, as Daniel Inouye called them, a breakaway civilization. So they have their own fundraising mechanisms. They have their own set of objectives, their own navy, their own army.
But you said
above the law.
You said evil, and I told you, there absolutely is evil on this planet, but not connected to NHI or an advanced civilization here on Earth with us. And I can tell you that just because Epstein and his operation involving many heads of state and very powerful people over decades that were pedophiles and had sex with children have anything to do with NHI. They're completely separate.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, Mike, with NHI, you can't go ahead and take human idioms, emotions, human thought cycles, and put it on these things and say these things are good or evil. They just are what they are. And we may purport them to different types of human emotion and different types of human state, but these things are so alien and different from us. You can't put them anything that's humanity that we would try and describe them with. You got to stay out of it because they just are what they are.
I don't know, man.
They're not here to save us. They don't give a shit about if we live or die. This earth and civilization has gone through many cataclysms. And if they've been here the entire time, they haven't changed any of the events that have occurred. They didn't prevent us from dropping nuclear bombs on Japan in World War II. They haven't done anything to save any of the major catastrophes.
They didn't stop us from any one of the thousands of nuclear tests. They never interfered with any of those tests, Mike.
I know.
Yeah, but you're also assuming that, because by definition, I classify things like the devil or angels or God, or by definition, those are non-human intelligence. And I think there are, there's wisdom. I don't think the devil exists with the pitchfork. But I think there are entities out there that when they influence us in a negative way, it feeds them to some degree.
Yeah, but have I seen things before from orbs that were moving along and they expand out into a creature, and you've got something with the nose and that long chin and it has that profile, looks like a freaking demon or a devil, if you want to call it. Yeah, it doesn't have the pitchfork, but a lot of the visual cues that go back in history of how this was illustrated was actually there. So it's just hard.
I'm very, very, very fucking skeptical when it comes to paranormal shit. I really, really am. But the only thing that could that for me as a sane person, the only way that someone like Jeffrey Epstein and anyone who took part in any of that knowingly, anyone, you have to be either corrupted by some sort of evil, and whether that's power and greed,
it's called humanity.
Yeah. So whatever it is,
humans are we complain about people who have been abducted and all the things that they have potentially gone under. But if you look at what humanity does to itself, like in Mexico from the drug lords and everything, and capturing people and the torture and what they put them through, what's happened in other countries, the genocides that have happened all around the world, and look what humanity does to animals in the name of science. And then they've got explorations going now where they were just taking human cells, subjecting them to the process, getting them to go ahead and build these little organoids, they called them. And they said, oh, this is and they actually started growing brains and actually having the consciousness equivalent to a premature baby being exhibited by these brains. And they said, oh, this is because we want to go ahead and explore brain diseases and all the stuff that's necessary for science. But now they're taking that and they're developing these things in mass, and they're merging that with electronics for robotic control. It's sickening.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. And like, all I'm saying is I think that there's a driving force there. And I think that they're like what our ancestors spoke of, like, God and the devil, I think is like, fundamental forces of nature, and it's good and evil, and our intention, it truly does matter, and it affects the world around us. There's a reason that when you're having a bad day, every single thing goes bad. It's because you're in that mindset of,
what's the old saying?
Day, and like then everything shitty happens. But then there's
Think
also those days
happy
where you hit every
thought.
single green light, and you're on top of the world. And it's your mindset. It's whether you choose to be good that day or if you choose to compromise on your values. And I think there is something there, whether it's metaphysical or not.
Can I add to that really quick, Tyler?
Yeah.
You want to think happy thoughts. Period.
Yeah.
Because negative thoughts manifest negative energy, and it's sticky and collective. And the more thoughts you have on it, if you have this wheel that goes around you of all your thoughts and everything going on, that negative energy will stick on it and get it off balance and take you off balance. And it's collective. It's something that grows over time. So yeah, you're right on it. It's.
I think that as a species right now, we are more in tune with a negative vibration than we are a good one.
Oh, I think we've been there for a very long time, honestly. Look at the Middle East. It's there's been wars going on there for thousands of years, and it's never stopped. And now it's spreading. But if we can,
we need to change our ways.
Yeah.
We need to change our ways in order for them to want us to be a part. If there is some sort of galactic federation, which I'm very skeptical of, if there is some sort of giant brotherhood of the cosmos, if we're ever going to get there, we got to change the way we treat each other, because we love to draw these lines and put ourselves in groups, black, white, green, female, non-binary. We just love to divide ourselves and put ourselves in groups, and then dislike each other because of that difference that separates us, when I think that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us like there's nothing a united human race could not achieve. It's very reminiscent of the Tower of Babel story. So I just think that, like, if we were all on the same page, and maybe that was the devil's best trick, right? Existing, tricking everyone into believing he didn't exist.
Well, we covered this repeatedly on the show at different times.
Yeah.
Former President Ronald Reagan, in the 1985 UN address, he said in his speech that if the human race were faced with an alien threat from outside of our planet, we would all forget our differences, our border disputes, and we would be united as a species, as a human race that would be fighting against a far superior advanced civilization, and it would unite us all. And we played that repeatedly because even with everything going on with the world then, and mind you, that was at the height of the Cold War between the United States and Russia. And after that speech, he had a private meeting behind closed doors with Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev. Yeah. And he asked him, if this were true, would Russia stand and fight with the United States? And Gorbachev, without missing a beat, instantly told him, yes, Russia would stand and fight with the United States if we were faced with an overwhelming force outside of this planet. So, yeah, Reagan was right. It would, something like the truth about an alien race being here on Earth with us would unite human beings. and we would forget our differences pretty goddamn quickly.
I mean, I don't think we need to be fighting, of course, in the scenario for it to unite us, but the sentiment remains the same, of course. I think if you know, because it could be like I think it'd be more like an arrival situation. I still think that that's one of the most realistic portrayals of what might happen if ships did just come down and we didn't really know what was going on. I think it gives a very, very dramatic and realistic take on it.
Yeah, dramatic, realistic, and also a scary thing, because when you have a super advanced technology coming down to a population that is much less advanced, the much less advanced population, it never works out good, ever.
Never.
And
our history on this planet shows that.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Yeah.
Now, what if it isn't a question of an arrival, Tyler, like you pointed out? What if it turns out we discover they've always been here?
Yeah.
Right, Thomas?
Yeah.
They're here, they've been here, and it's something we didn't realize until we get proof to show that, yeah.
I think that would be a more chaotic disclosure, to be honest, because then we realize that we're not the apex of the Earth.
It's already been said. Lue Elizondo and other people have said this many times, that we're not at the top of the food chain. So
yeah, but he
that's
also
out
showed
there.
a picture of a fucking crop and then got himself immediately laughed at. And listen, whether I think that's legit, I like Lue, I really do. But it's like that stuff in the public eye, that's all they're going to remember. And you know that.
Yeah.
One slip up in this community will eat you alive.
Yeah. We've seen that many times. If we can, we're well beyond schedule. If we can, we have about 2 people with their hands up for final questions. One coming from Alice, the next coming from Laura. Alice, what do you say? What say you?
Well, this came from a little while ago.
That's fine.
But I'd like to do a survey of the people in our audience. If a race came here en masse and was typically humanoid, and they wanted to integrate into our system, do you think we would be kind to them and welcoming? How do you think we would react to a situation like that?
Okay. I'll figure out that question in a second. Good one. Let's go to Laura while I try and drum up a question to the audience.
Well,
yeah, earlier you talked about the gentleman on the far left, the scarf on. According to Psychoactivo podcast, Stephen Diner said it was Roderick Castle. And he was supposedly a Marine stationed at 29 Palms in 1997, around the same time that they had the Phoenix Lights incident. He saw that night while a giant black triangle, while he was on duty doing his crash recovery retrieval.
Is she in New Zealand?
Oh, so that's why Corbell told me to look at him.
That music
I covered the 29 Palms case.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, see, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. Potential witness.
That's
but
interesting. So wait, 29 Palms?
Yes.
I mean, Arizona's only about an hour away. Phoenix is it's barely an hour away for a flight. So if that craft is moving, that would actually make sense.
NHI announces its presence. Will humanity be accepting? Basically, would we accept you? That's good one, Todd.
Yep, there's the answer. Let's go ahead. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
Got it.
I think that we.
All right, we've got 200.
Starting now.
We've got 27 votes with about about 380 people, 390 people watching the show right now. This is an opportunity for audience to go ahead and say, how do you feel on this? When the NHI announces its presence, will humanity be accepting? Let me see if I can find a sound effect I can go ahead and play during
Depends what
this.
they could offer us.
It's all right, audience. This is your chance to go ahead and decide where Disclosure tonight sits. I have a feeling, everyone has a feeling on this, but our audience has a voice as well. So right now, look at this. Over 62% of our audience right now, 2/3 of our audience, give or take, is saying yes. How do you feel on this, Tyler?
I think that it would depend ultimately on what they can offer us.
Yeah.
I really do. Because if you're going to integrate with our society, then you're benefiting from that integration what are we getting in
No,
return?
we're benefiting potentially from our integration with theirs potentially. But the thing is, if they do come and they have been here and they're really advanced, it's nothing good for humanity. It's not about us being accepting, because they're going to come and do whatever they want, irrespective if we want them to or not, because they're so advanced. And potentially, if they've been here for a long time, they've already been doing it.
Yeah, well, integrate but the way the question was framed was, so integrate would mean essentially merge together, right? So integrate.
I know, but the question I put up for the audience: will humanity be accepting?
Way to add to our species benevolently. I can't say the word, but you know what I mean.
I hope that we would embrace it. I really do. I desperately hope that we would embrace it, but there would have to be safeguards.
Yeah.
Of course.
Ending the poll right now, because we do fast polls here at Disclosure tonight. There we go. Final answer. 73% of our audience, 2/3 of our audience said yes, humanity will be accepting of a non-human intelligence coming and being here with humanity, and 1/3 is saying no, we won't. So,
Well, that I think would depend on the key questions and the answers that would be provided at that point. And what are the questions, Thomas, that stand out, that you've said repeatedly time and time again?
go ahead.
Why are they here?
And not just why are they here, what the hell are they doing here? What are they doing on this planet with humanity, with the life and everything? And then we could find out why you guys here doing this shit. But at least tell us up front what the hell you're doing here. We deserve to know.
Right. Right.
What if the answer was, we created you? Do you think we're ready for that?
Why not?
It's not like we'd have a choice.
You can say we're never going to be ready for it, so you can never tell us. But if humanity knew in the past, there's no reason we shouldn't know it now, unless our government leaders want to keep us under their thumb and keep on milking us for things they don't need to. So it's a matter of, if it's the truth, oh, heck yeah, bring it out.
Fuck yeah.
Well, we don't choose who our parents are when we come into this life.
Yeah.
And we find a way to adjust and deal with that.
Imagine if they could literally sit us down and be like, all right, we're going to walk you through your origin story. And they filled in all these gaps and like, we actually got the full story. I mean, and then who knows, like what if they have answers about the afterlife and what happens? Like, and I think by
what if we find out that they feed on us in the afterlife, and when we go and die, they feed on our they feed on our consciousness?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh
Daryl, you have your hand up. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, what if we don't have to wait till we die? What if they're one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eaters? I might segue my answer to this question a little bit based on that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
If
we can, my friends, any last words, Tyler? Want to tell the audience about your podcast and where to find you?
Yeah. So tomorrow, the Bob Salas, Dave Schindley episode is coming out on Total Disclosure, all podcast platforms and YouTube. I just opened the studio up, so doing a lot more video-oriented episodes. Trying to get into the realm of the Danny Joneses and the Jesse Michaels, and keeping up to that quality, standard quality of production, and bringing people onto the team has been very, very helpful for me, and it's been a really fun thing to see the show kind of
come into its own and develop.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, maturing into its own, and I have so much coming down the pipeline. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I really don't, but
go ahead.
I talked to Tim Phillips.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants me saying it. So,
well, he's no longer employed by the federal government, so you should be fine.
Yeah, but he wants to have a conversation with me first about. But he's denied a lot of the interviews lately, and he said that So I pulled a string. I pulled a favor, and I might be able to get the last interview for a while from him. So I'm trying to make that happen. But then I just have like so many other fucking great episodes coming out that there's just subscribe and
cool.
See what's coming up.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out here today, my friend. It's been a great conversation. If I can try and find, where did I hide the chat? Oh, here it is. No,
I like
there
that
it is. Over on this side. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful super chats. Unfortunately, my system for popping up fan funding has cleared itself out one way or the other. I want to go ahead and let's get into this and thank everybody for your great super chats. Let me go ahead and bring them up again. Who gave us some super chats today? Let me go ahead and share with everybody. All right, here we go. Let's say we had starting off, well, I can't see the top one. The super chat today coming. The first one was from Lord McCormick. Then we had Mr. Catfish 2100 and then Vern Dude again. And Lord McCormick again. Lord McCormick a third time. Anthony Mac after death. Why don't they just aim it at James Webb Telescope? Absolutely. Lord McCormick again. We had Daryl Zernick, David Quartone, and Mr. Catfish 2100. We appreciate all your love and support everybody gives us here in Disclosure tonight. Tyler, thank you for coming out today, my friend.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, it's really not cheap running these kind of shows, and I think you got a great audience here that's willing to give back, and just so people know that it really does take a village, and it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, time, and to put these productions on. So if you can find a way to help support the creator, and usually I'll play it like, give what you think the show is worth. That is, and if you can't give anything, sharing is free. It literally takes 20 seconds to leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for your local creator or for your creator. It really makes that difference. So just remember that next time you're hovering over their page and you're wondering whether to throw them a dollar or two, or your favorite creator a dollar or two. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that, Mike, my friend. Thank you for coming out today.
Oh, my pleasure. This was a really great episode today, talking about Lue and having Tyler join us on the Total Disclosure podcast and add to the conversation. I had a lot of fun. It was a great conversation, and thank you for putting this all together for us and doing the fantastic job that you usually do.
Well, more importantly, I thank everybody else, but I thank the audience for coming here, being a part of the show, all the great comments that came up in the chat, the super chats, everything we've had together. It shows we're a real community here, and that's what it's about. It's not just about me or Mike or anything. It's about you. It's about how we see disclosure and how we get through this, and how can we work together to move it forward. Mike, thank you for being here, my friend.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.